All right, our second video now. We did one yesterday or a little while ago, discussing sort of the Leafs playoffs and how that sort of impacted the team. And now we're going to look at the offseason. It's way too early to do this, but I was bored and uncap friendly and basically made too many notes, and we're now doing this. But I basically compiled a couple of things, specifically Elliot Friedman, a couple of his reports recently, and CJ, Chris Johnson. He was on the SDP last week. He ran through staying or going for a bunch of Leafs, and we'll dive into that. I then created a bunch of hypothetical trades that are definitely terrible, but Aiden will critique them. And finally, I went through a few potential free agents the Leafs could look at. So we'll dive into that right at the end. But we're going to start with the Friedman report because that was the newest or not newest, oldest technically report. But I'm adding a little bit onto it because he did say something in a interview recently. First one being, he thinks the Leafs need a Kawhi-esque move. We'll see. Really depends on what Kawhi-esque means for the Leafs. We'll get it, I think.
I don't know.
Get into that with some of my trades. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah. What Kawhi-esque means, if that's a Mitch Marner or if that's a Jake Muzzin or a TJ Brody, there's a big difference there. I could see it being one of the latter, but we'll get there. The other one, the Leafs' initial offer to Jack Campbell was 2.75 per year. Adam Wild then added on the podcast with CJ that he heard, I think it was CJ. It might not have been that episode, but he heard Campbell's initial ask was that it was 7 per. But he thinks that was a while ago during his hot stretch. When they proposed. Okay. I'm not going anywhere near 7. I'm hesitant to even go $2 million below that at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's hesitant. But speaking of goalies, he also said the Leafs and Anaheim Ducks have had conversations in the past about John Gibson.
Yeah, I heard that.
That could be a potential solution for the Leafs in goal because there's a lot of uncertainty this offseason in terms of what the Leafs will do. And that sort of leads into what the CJ segment, which I loved. I thought they did really well with this. Diving into the Leafs free agents and some other notable players in terms of what their role could be on the team. So he started with Spezza. He thinks he's staying, but not as a player, which is interesting. I think he makes a lot of sense as like an advisor or a coach.
Yeah.
He'd be very good at that.
I just don't know if there's going to be that role for him as a player anymore. And I think that's what he is also, debating and what he's going to talk to Keefe about, if not already. I think that if the Leafs were like certain he is going to be in their plans next year, he would have been signed already to that 1 year, $750K, whatever league min deal already. But I think he's contemplating what he wants to do now, knowing that he's not going to be in the lineup every night, obviously. He might not even be in our playoff lineup come next year if they decide to go for a different look. So if he's not going to be offering a lot much to the Leafs on ice next year, then yeah, I do see him maybe joining as like a advisor or something like that. Yeah.
I think this is a situation we sort of hear a conclusion to about 5 days into free agency, because I think it's going to be very depend on what the Leafs do in free agency and who they're able to add.
Yeah.
Right now, I think there's a spot currently with no free agent signings, but depending on who they add in free agency, I don't know if there's necessarily a spot for him anymore in the lineup. If he's willing to play in the Marlies, maybe, but I don't think he'll want to do that.
He'd be a great captain there. Great captain for the Marlies. Sorry, Rich Clune, but
those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Really good vet presence. Probably Clifford, maybe Simmons. We'll see in sort of that role. But yeah, other player he mentioned, this is the first one where we have a definitive answer, and it's in fact correct. Mark Giordano staying. He signed on Sunday a 2-year, $800,000 per contract. Absurd value. Absurd value. I don't know how, like, apparently he actually told them to lower the amount too on their initial offer. There was a report out there. The Leafs offered him $1 million per, and he said no, go lower. So
I didn't hear that, but wow, that's crazy. Because yeah, when I saw the tweet, it was like Friedman tweeted out saying that he's gonna sign for around $1 million, and then I think it was CJ that tweeted out that he signed for $800K, and that's crazy because he was making a 6.75 AAV last season, and the Leafs are only paying him like $3 million because of the trade. But that's a ginormous pay cut, hometown discount, whatever you want to call it. Like, he wants to play here and he wants to try and win here. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a ripple effect now to like towards free agency. Other veterans, or maybe not the same age as Gio, but a little bit younger than Gio, noticing, hey, the Leafs are really close. Look at what Giordano did. He believes in them. Maybe, now is the time for me to sign a 1-year deal at a lower cost to try and achieve my childhood dream of winning a cup with the Leafs. So I would hope that happens.
I don't know how many of those guys are available, but it's definitely a possibility. I think him staying, like, Evolving Wild do contract projections. A bunch of sites do it. I think it was them. They had on a 2-year contract. This is from Kyle Cushman. So shout out Kyle. He's the one who tweeted it. He was projected AAV was like over 5 million.
Yeah.
Per year. So to get him at 800,000, even like, I think that's a bit much. I think probably in the sort of $3 million range, $4 million range.
I could see definitely upwards of 4 million on another team for like a 1-year deal, a contending team. Yeah, like 800K is nowhere in the ballpark.
I would have been very happy with 2 million.
Yeah, I thought that would be fair. Yeah,
I thought that's what he was going to get. 800K though is just I don't understand it. I don't know if they've said if there's any trade protection. I'd imagine there's a no trade clause because it would just.
Why would you trade him at 800K? You can bury that contract.
Exactly, but he's so good value that it might be a contract that you can get a lot for. So I think if I'm him, I'd want the no trade clause. I'd be shocked if they didn't have it. Like, they gave Simmons one, so
yeah.
But yeah, great value. Next player though, Alex Kerfoot. He thinks he's going. We'll get more on that later. Hall also going. Muzzin. He went into a lot more detail, so I didn't put it one way or the other, but it's complicated is sort of the best way I could describe it. The Leafs see him as part of the core. They think he's very good. He's apparently unbelievable in the dressing room, but he's making $5.625 million for another 2 years, and he's already had a bunch of injuries. So, and with the signing of Giordano, now might be the time you move him.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later because I have
a proposal.
Yes. I think he goes. If I'm the Leafs, I'd move him. I try to.
Yeah, the contract, right? Like, it's this season, this offseason is just gonna all be about, creating cap space. And that's why I think Friedman said that Kerfoot is going. And same with Hall as well, because they're making, combined like $5.5 million that could be freed up there into a free agent or a trade. And then if you take Muzzin off your books, that's another big chunk of money.
11.
Exactly, like $11 million. That's nuts. And you have Sandin and Liljegren that both need to play next year. Like, we've had this debate
and
for.
You need to re-sign them too.
Exactly. They're both RFAs.
I don't think they'll be expensive. I think we're looking at like $1 million or $2 million max.
Yeah.
But you do have to re-sign them. And
yeah,
I've already seen people saying offer sheet. So, like, it's a thing, right?
Could happen. Yeah.
We'll see. Ilya Lyubushkin. CJ had no idea. I have no idea.
I don't really know either.
Like,
Like,
he was okay. He wasn't great. He hit people, and
yeah, he provided the Leafs. He provided the Leafs with something that they haven't had, which is that physicality and a guy that could actually play on the top line with Morgan Riley.
he gave the puck away a lot because when the puck touches his stick, there's a problem. So who knows if he stays? I could see it on a cheap contract, but I
There
don't.
just might not be room for him. Yeah, I think he could probably walk.
Maybe 1.5 would be a number I'm comfortable at, but yeah, I don't know. I think
That's like last priority for them.
exactly. Colin Blackwell going. He's a UFA. Not too surprised by that. I think he'll be too expensive to keep. A guy I'd like to keep, but I think he'd be too expensive.
Really? What do you think he'd want?
I think he'll get like a mil and a half.
Yeah, I if it's around a mil or if it's 1 mil, I think that's a great deal because he can play up and down your lineup still.
The thing is, he's a Leaf. He was a Leaf, and there's a Leaf stacks because they get a ton more media coverage, and now other teams are aware that Colin Blackwell is very good. I think he goes. I think he gets a decent contract somewhere else. I also think the Leafs probably want to give the young guy a shot, somebody like an Alex Steves, Joey Anderson sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe even Pontus Holmberg.
McMahon, who they just signed to like a 2-year deal. Nick Robertson.
Nick Robertson too. Curtis Douglas as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that front. Interesting with Peter Mrazek. I wouldn't do this, but he thinks he's going. I'd keep him. We'll get into that in a second. Jack Campbell, UFA, going. I just can't see them coming to a deal.
Yeah. He's going to be too pricey.
Yeah. He's he's 31, right? So
yeah.
He's got to
just sign for 2 mil, Jack. Come on. Hometown discount.
He's not even from.
Yeah, exactly. He's not from here, but he loves playing in Toronto. He's the nicest guy in the world. If Giordano can do it, come on, Jack.
The difference between he and Giordano is Giordano's made over $60 million in his career. Jack Campbell has not.
He's going to get paid somewhere else. And a team's going to regret it for sure.
Like $5 million per sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think the Leafs can do that. Finally, Ilya Mikheyev. Also, I think he's priced himself out of Toronto. He's probably going to get 3 to 4 mil, and the Leafs just can't afford that. So
yeah, I think somewhere around 3. Yeah, maybe 3.5.
That's the entire list. I don't really disagree with many of these trades, or not trades, these going or staying things.
Yeah.
But I did base off what CJ said. I created some trade proposals. I don't think they're all very good. Like, I wouldn't do half of them, but these are things that I did come up with. I will go from the first trade I made to the trade I made last night.
Okay. I haven't looked at these, by the way, so you're getting my reaction to them.
Perfect. My first trade, and it was going off of they're going to make a Kawhi-esque trade. I'm trading William Nylander in our first 3 trades. I preface this in my description of these trades in Connor trades that won't happen, because they won't. We'll start with the last one. Leafs Canucks trade. William Nylander making 6.926366. Alex Kerfoot making 3.5, and Justin Hall making 2, for Connor Garland making 4.95, and Brock Besser, who's an RFA. I have him getting 7 million. I just threw out a random number. I have no idea what he's going to get. In total, the Leafs would be subtracting cap. They'd be bringing in 11.95 in the hypothetical Brock Besser RFA deal, while shipping out 12.426366. I don't think Vancouver does this.
I don't know. Gosh, it's tough. Like, obviously, the Canucks are getting the best player in the trade in Nylander, but the Leafs get back two guys, one of which can probably play on the second line, but obviously Besser on the second line, Garland on the third line, and that's a great third liner to have in Connor Garland. It's yeah, I don't know. It's a fair trade, it seems, honestly. Like, I think the Canucks will get a guy in Nylander that will provide lots of offense in their first line. He'll be a legit first liner playing alongside of Pettersson. Kerfoot is from BC as well, a good, middle of the lineup guy. And then Hall can be reunited with Travis Dermott. So on the bottom pair, just like old times. So I think I don't know. I still wouldn't do it. I think Nylander is the best player, and I don't know if that makes the Leafs substantially better. So I would decline if I was the Leafs still. But I understand like why you would want or like that, why you would make that trade, I guess.
If you're blowing it up, that's the kind of trade I think they make. But I don't think they're blowing it up. I think
I don't think so either. Yeah.
On this sort of path.
Like, yeah, the way that they were speaking in the press conference, like they're not going to make a move just for the sake of doing it. But at the same time, Dubas said he's open. Like, if there is a trade that can be made to make the team better, then he would be open to trading one of the core players. And he didn't say the core four, like core in general. He's open to doing that. But maybe you have another trade proposal that I like better. We'll see.
We'll see.
With Nylander, at least.
Yeah, I got two more Nylander trades. Then we're getting into non-Nylander trades. First one, or next one, Leafs Sharks.
Jeez.
I have the Leafs sending William Nylander, making 6.9, Pierre Mrazek, making 3.8, and Joseph Duszak, his RFA rights, as well as sweeteners, but I don't know what the sweeteners are, in exchange for Timo Meier and James Reimer. Meier making 6, Reimer making 2.25.
No, I don't like that. I think there's a little bit of bias in that one because you're a big Reimer fan, but I mean, I'm taking Nylander over Meier still. I don't think it's a substantial difference. It's not going to make the Leafs better. Yeah, that wouldn't make sense to me.
This trade, by the way, does save them around 2.5 million in cap. So it would also be offloading Peter Mrazek's salary,
right. Yes.
while replacing him with a probable comparable in James Reimer. It's sort of, I tried to make it sort of similar to the Arizona Nick Ritchie trade.
Yeah, that's what scares me though. Like, I don't want the Leafs to make a move like that just to unload Mrazek's contract because you can just easily buy him out. And I think that's the best bet. I think that's what they should do if they can't find a trade partner for him. Just like literally just trade him for a draft pick. Like, I don't care. Just get him out. Get his salary off the books. It shouldn't be at the cost of Nylander. And yes, Meier is good, but between Meier and Nylander, I'm still taking Nylander over Meier.
All right. Next trade, which I think you also not like. I also don't really like it myself, but I don't think the Flyers do this trade.
I don't even like anyone on the Flyers, so I already don't like it.
Leafs trading Nylander, Hall, and Mrazek for Travis Konechny, one of Travis Sanheim or Ivan Provorov. I remember one of them being involved in rumors, but I can't remember which one it was. So it's either 4.675 or 6.75. I did the math for both. And Oscar Lindblom.
Okay.
It's 3 mil. I don't think the Flyers do this at all. The Leafs would be bringing back, in the case of the Sanheim trade, 13.175 while offloading 12.726. In the case of Provorov, they're bringing in 15.25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually like this one better, I think, than the Meier one, mostly because of you could get Provorov, who is a legit, top. I would maybe like number 2 defenseman, 2 or 3 defenseman on a team, right shot, which is good. And Konechny is also a good player who's just coming off a down year. You're unloading the Mrazek cap and the Hall cap in this trade. It's definitely giving the Leafs more depth. But I think it's similar to that Canucks trade that you proposed. A little bit more depth, and I like the defenseman ad there with Provorov. So, I don't know.
I think the Leafs would have to add sweeteners to it.
Yeah, maybe.
I think the Leafs are giving up less value because Hall isn't amazing, and Mrazek, basically everybody's looking at it like a cap dump at this point, even though I don't think it is. So I think you'd probably have to add a couple picks or a prospect, but it's enticing.
It's enticing mostly just because of Provorov. I think if it was Sanheim, then I would say no. But if you could get Provorov, then it could make sense. But then again, like I'm just reminded of the Kadri trade with Barry and Kerfoot. Like it's Konechny and Provorov for Nylander. It's Barry and Kerfoot for Kadri.
Lindblom is nothing either.
Lindblom's not bad. Yeah, he's not
a cap dump in this deal, but
he's like a Kerfoot.
Yeah, he's decent. He's decent. Yeah. Let's go to what I see as being more realistic trades. We'll start at the bottom. Alex Kerfoot to the Buffalo Sabres for a second round pick, which is his pick in 2023. That's just a pure cap dump.
Yeah.
I don't think they do it like that. But
yeah, I don't think they do it like that either. But I think he's worth a second. Yeah, if it's just a cap dump, I think that's a good trade. If that's all you can get for Kerfoot, then yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. Next trade, we're getting into the more sizable, realistic trades. Leafs Capitals. Trevor Van Riemsdyk making $950,000. Vitek Vanacek. He's an RFA. I have him like $2 million, 3 years. Who knows? And a first round pick for Jake Muzzin. Oof. I'd like to downgrade that pick probably to a second or a third. I think a first is a bit much.
So are you making this trade knowing that Vanacek will be your starting goaltender next season?
A key goaltender. Maybe
a key goaltender, yeah, like $2 million, just like a fringe starter kind of thing. Yeah, and you're unloading Muzzin. I think, yeah, I think that's decent. Like, I don't necessarily agree with Vanacek being the guy or Trevor Van Riemsdyk being the guy, but I think players of their caliber for like the money that they'll make, yes, I can see something like that happening. I don't know if the Capitals are the exact fit, but I like the idea. Yes,
I wanted to keep it realistic to a team I thought Muzzin would accept a trade to because he has a full no move. I figured Washington, they're a good team. I think they're a very good team. He could be enticed to join them. I think there's also a role in their top 4 for him too.
Yeah.
So I tried with that. The other Jake Muzzin trade I have, and I made it last night. I talked myself into it more and more after looking at the stats, but Jake Muzzin to the LA Kings.
Wow. Okay.
I think one of the
open to that.
Places
yeah.
We actually go back to for Jonathan Quick. Both signed for 2 more years. Quick is making a little bit more at 5.8 compared to Jake Muzzin's 5.625. That's it, straight up.
It's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I mean, okay, definitely I would say you're getting an upgrade in net. I think Quick could be better than Jack Campbell for sure. Especially, I think he could. I think he could. more consistently, I think, over an 82 game season.
His 3 years before this one, not good. He was very
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
season.
Mhm.
He was very good.
Mhm.
I think he needs to be in a 1A, 1B system. I think he could fit really well next to Peter Mrazek. I don't know why somebody's messaging me, but if you're hearing that, those dings, sorry. Off.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a tough one because you are bringing back a bit more salary, but you're getting a borderline starting
It's a
goalie.
bold move. Yeah, I'd probably decline it. I think there's better options out there, but I wouldn't be opposed to going after a guy like Quick if there was maybe some salary retained as well.
Maybe you even it out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Flat
Maybe.
swap. And they're signed for the same amount of years. They both have 2 more years on their contracts. I think it could make a bit of sense for the Leafs. Final one. This is Leafs Chicago. Leafs Leafs get a 3rd-round pick in 2024 in exchange for Peter Mrazek and a 5th-round pick.
That works for me. Yeah.
Straight salary dump.
Yeah, that's good.
Chicago have no goalies, period, under contract.
They need someone. Yeah. And Mrazek's not he was bad last year with the Leafs, but look at what he did on Carolina. He wasn't amazing, but he was a good serviceable goaltender. So yeah, that's kind of what Chicago needs. Maybe you can turn it around there. So I think that's good. I would do that trade like today.
I think I don't want to give Mrazek up. I think he's going to turn it around, but I understand why they'd want to. And
Yeah.
I think they probably will. Let's look at free agents now because we only have a little bit of time left. First one I have, PK Subban, New Jersey Devils, making $9 million this season. Not going to be making that. My random guess of an AAV is $1 million. I don't know.
Maybe less than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd spend $1 million max on him. I don't think I'd go much more. And I think you'd probably get more somewhere else, but it's sort of a hometown.
That'd be cool to see, I think. Yeah.
He'd be a good 7th defenseman, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Maybe even,
Toronto guy.
yeah, 6th defenseman. If you move Hall out. Could
Yeah.
make. Next
we'll
one,
see.
a goalie, Darcy Kemper from Colorado, making 4.5 this season. I threw down 5. I have no idea what he's going to get. I'm a very big fan of him. I think he's really good.
Yeah. Could be a bit more depending on how far Colorado goes. I could be upwards of 6, maybe even 7 if they win the cup.
Yeah, I think that one's a bit out there, but maybe.
Yeah.
Next one, David Perron, St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Left wing, right wing, left wing, whatever. He's making $4 million this season. I just put down $4 million again. I have no idea what he'd get on the open market. He's on the older side. I think he's 34.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right. Yeah.
So that one, I don't know, but
I don't know. Where would he fit as well? There has to be a fit, like
second line left wing.
second line. Yeah. And then, in my head, like I'm thinking Tavares might be a winger next year, though.
Yeah.
So I might be looking at a center there, but that could work. Perron's good in the playoffs. He's a proven scorer when it comes to the playoffs. So yeah, that could work. Yeah, I would like Perron.
I think he'd be a pretty decent fit. Next one, Calle Yarncroke, currently on Calgary, making $2 million right now. He's a left wing, center, and right wing. Can play anywhere in the forward core. I have him making around 2.5. I have no idea. I'm literally pulling these out of thin air.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I could see 2.5. Yeah. What is he, like a third liner on Calgary right now? I think, and he's having a good playoffs. But yeah, he'll get a bit of a race.
Ilya Mikheyev replacement.
Yeah.
How I see it.
Who can play center?
Yeah. Next one, Vladislav Nemesnikov, playing for
Interesting.
Dallas. He played pretty well in the series. I thought he was an underrated ad in terms of their push this season. He's right wing, left wing, center, making $2 million this year. I have him making 1.75.
Okay, yeah, less than that. Yeah.
I think he could make sense potentially as your second line left winger if you want to go that route. Obviously, I didn't really look at centers, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that. We'll probably do a quick cut and I'll take a look at that because I want to include some centers now. I want to do that. Next up, though, Zach Aston-Reese from Anaheim.
Yeah.
Defensive first center, was on Pittsburgh. 1.75 currently. I have him making like 1.5. I have no idea. Left wing, right wing could fill that Ilya Mikheyev spot. Next one, Nicholas Delorier from Minnesota, formerly of Anaheim, making 1 million. I have him making 1 million. Bit of a tough guy. Could be a good solution to the fourth line, left winger spot.
Yeah.
But you've got Simmons and Clifford, so what's your plan with them? They'd be cheaper as well. So do you think Delorier is a big upgrade on them? But if you want to go that route, you've got him. Next one, another goalie, UFA Group 6. So same thing Bunting was. Eric Comrie from Winnipeg, making 750 grand this year. I slotted him in a mill. He had really good numbers this year. He had like a 921 with Winnipeg, which is impressive. Bit of a younger guy. I think he's like 26, 27. Thought he could, if you're going to take a flyer on a goalie, can make some sense to do like a 1-year bet with him. Hope it hits. I don't know. Sort of a shot in the dark. Next one, Derek Brassard. Edmonton, making 825. I have him taking a small pay cut to 800. Left wing, right wing. Could slot in on the second line. He's a guy who's played up and down the lineup. Could also slot in third line, fourth line. Sort of versatile in that way.
Yeah.
It maybe makes sense. Then we have a returning Leaf, Alex Galchenyuk, currently on Arizona. 750 grand. I put him in at 775. It's a little bit of a raise. Left wing, center, right wing. Shown he can work on the wing with Nylander and Tavares. Maybe.
Yeah.
Play it safe. Bring him in as like an extra forward.
Give him a PTO or something.
Yeah, something like that. 2 more. Then we're going to take a quick cut. Go. I'll find some centers and we'll have a bit of a discussion on Tavares. Ville Husso from St. Louis, making 750 grand this year.
I was waiting for that one. Yeah,
I put him in at 3.5. I think he might get more than that. It's a lot when a guy who's only had one good year.
I don't know if he'll make that much, honestly. Like, he had a great season though.
Yeah.
But maybe if, they lose in 5 games to Colorado, then maybe that drops a bit because he's getting a legit look now and on a big stage. If he doesn't perform, then maybe that number goes down a bit. But yeah, I could see like 3.5, 3 mil, something like that. Yeah.
Something in that range. Potential solution if you, again, want to take a flyer. And finally, Andreas Athanasiou as a literal Mikheyev replacement. Making 2.7. I didn't know what to give him. I slotted him for like 2.5. I have no idea.
I feel like he might be a bit pricey.
Yeah, he's quick. He's very quick. So if you want to replace the Mikheyev speed, it's a good way of doing it. But yeah, we're going to take now a quick cut because I want to get some centers. Because I didn't think about moving Tavares to the wing.
Like a second line center or third line centers that can be bumped up or something like that. Like Tavares is slowing down.
Yeah, that's a very good point. All right, we'll cut and we'll be right back. All right, after that sort of very quick break for you, but longer break for us, scrolling through Cap Friendly and trying to figure out potential centers, I only found 3. And I don't know how good they are going to be, but before we do that, or actually, no, let's do the free agents and we'll discuss the positives of putting Tavares on the wing. First one, Vinny Trocheck from Florida, 4.75. Center right wing. I had him at around 4. I have no idea if that's the right amount.
Yeah, I think
don't
it's
know.
decent. Like it really depends on like if the Leafs are actually going to commit to putting Tavares on the wing, then it could make sense. Like $4 million for a second line center is good. And Trocheck's a good two-way player. He has some offensive upside. So yeah, that could work. He's a bit of a smaller player. But yeah, let's hear the other options.
Next one, another Florida team, except this one Tampa Bay. Nick Paul, guy who destroyed the Leafs in Game 7. Currently making 1.35. I put him at 3.5 because I think his value is going to be massively inflated from the playoff series against the Leafs and Florida and the conference finals too, probably. Center right wing. I don't like it a lot.
Yeah, I don't really like it either, I guess. I don't know if he can play center. I think for most of his career, he's been on the wing, I want to say. At least, like, definitely in Tampa, he's been solely on the wing there. But
he's the center there. Oh, I guess Ross Colton.
yeah, Colton's the center. It's Colton, Hagel, and Paul on the wing. So I think he would be better as a winger. And maybe the Leafs even look at him for a third line spot. It is a bit pricey, but yeah, maybe there should be better options. Like some of the other wingers that you mentioned will be better and will be cheaper because he's going to get a big raise.
He's going to be expensive, unfortunately, which probably prices the Leafs out. And final one I came up with, I wish it were the other one, but Ryan Strome, New York Rangers, 4.5 making is what he's making this year. I put him at 4. Again, I have no idea. Like I'm literally pulling these numbers out of thin air.
Like you'd have a great top 6, like Strome, Nylander, and Tavares is a great line.
Yeah. So. I don't know if he'd take 4 though. I think he probably would. I'd be surprised if he didn't, but yeah.
Hometown discount, right? He's from the area.
He is from the area. But let's dive into Tavares in the wing because I think that really changes their offseason plans if they're going to do that. He's slowed down in recent years. I don't think that's wrong to say. His foot speed's become a bit of an issue in terms of his play.
Yeah.
Would you do it at this point or would you give it a year or 2?
I don't know. I think like throughout this season, we saw at times where Keefe has put Tavares on the wing. Like even in this series, he wasn't afraid to put him on the wing. Right. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like Dubas was asked this question in his press conference, I believe. Someone asked like, are you worried about like these final 2-3 years of his contract? He's making a lot of money. Obviously, you can't really move that. But Dubas said that he believes in like the organization's ability to extend players' primes. So he has trust within that, they'll get him going back up to speed. And they have the facilities, they have the I guess the facilities, the coaches, the training staff, whatever to do that. But I think it is a legit possibility. I think it opens up a lot more like possibilities for them. Like if Tavares goes to the wing, then maybe he can score more goals, right? He doesn't have to worry necessarily too much about getting back on the back check. He can he can conserve a lot of energy. He doesn't have to skate as much. So it could be a possibility, but then again, it just depends on who that second line center will be as well. But I think we'll see a little bit of both throughout next season, him on the wing, him at center, because he's still a good center for faceoffs, right? So even if they move him to the wing, maybe they'll still get him to take the draws and then do a little bit of a flip-flop after the faceoff. But I think the Leafs are kind of open to that. But and I think it could make them a better team. Also, Tavares could jump up to the Matthews line potentially with Marner and Matthews if need be, if he's a winger. And then it doesn't create a ripple effect if he moves from center up there to the top line. You can just, I don't know. I think it's definitely something that they're going to consider this offseason.
Yeah, I think you have to consider it at this point. I did like your idea, and I think they mentioned on the SDP too, of having him take faceoffs and then shift to the wing, because he is a really good faceoff guy. And maybe you have that internally in Nylander playing center instead of on the wing, or you bring in somebody else from outside the organization, whether that be a Nick Paul, who's got experience out on the wing and at center. I think Trocheck can do that too. All three of the guys I listed have experience on the wing or are listed as center right wingers. So it's a definite possibility. You mentioned to me also, you have some like archetypes.
Yeah.
You should go after.
Yeah. Like I did some quick math in my head and just like projected cap space and stuff like that. I don't know if this is accurate, but so I basically did the Leafs lines, and then I would do blanks. I would just leave them blanks for guys who won't be returning. So like Mikheyev, his third line left wing position is a blank. I put the fourth line center and the fourth line right wing positions as blank. So I guess like my first line right now, Bunting, Matthews, Marner. Second line, as of right now, would be Kerfoot, Tavares, Nylander. The third line would be a blank winger, Kampf, Engvall. Fourth line, something like Robertson, and then maybe a Simmons, and then a blank or a couple blanks there on the fourth line. So the Leafs basically need a fourth line forward. They need, sorry?
You're forgetting someone.
I'm forgetting. Who am I forgetting?
He's an RFA. They just signed him. Came from Boston. Andre Kasha.
They just signed Kasha?
No, they haven't signed him. He's an RFA.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna sign him. I don't think they're gonna re-sign him.
Whoa.
I think they'll look for the next Kasha, but right now I think it's a blank. Also because of injuries, right? If he's an RFA, I think he's gonna be wanting a little bit more, like maybe closer to $2 million even. I don't know if the Leafs do that.
I think they do.
Really?
I think it's a player that stays.
Interesting.
I think they like what they could do with him. And I think you're not going to get much of a better medical staff than what the Leafs have.
That's true.
In the NHL. So for him, it also makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think he stays.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if he goes. The only way he does go is as a free agent, where they don't qualify him.
Yeah.
But I think they qualify him because I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to be asking right now. I don't see him coming back, but I mean that's just my opinion. But yeah, sure. If he is part of their plans, then maybe he's even a third liner. Then maybe it's Kasha, Kampf, Engvall right now. But I think their decor is set. I think Riley, Sandin, Muzzin, Brody, Giordano, Liljegren. That's fine if you don't trade Muzzin. Like that's a good decor to have. You need a starting goaltender. I think Shalgren is a good backup goaltender, especially at the price that he's making right now. So in terms of needs, I think that they could use an upgrade over Kerfoot on the second line, because right now I have him playing with Tavares and Nylander. I think they would need at least one third line forward to replace Ilya Mikheyev, maybe two if they don't trust Engvall on the third line and want to ship him out of town. He's making too much money, or drop him to the fourth line and play a fourth line role. I think they need a fourth line forward, probably a fourth line center if they're losing Blackwell and Spezza. And then they need a starting goaltender. So that's 5 players. And from my calculations, the cap is going to be worth 82.5 mil this year. 46.5 of that is going to their forwards that are signed. This is my math. I think it's correct. $46.5 million. 18.9 goes to the defense. 750K for Shalgren. So that's $66 million based on their signed players for next year with a cap space of 16.5 mil to work with. So almost 17 mil. They need 5 players. Second line forward, maybe two third line forwards, a fourth line forward, and a goalie. 5 guys.
I think one of those fourth line forwards, maybe even one of the third line forwards, is going to be internal. I think
Marley guy. Yeah.
fourth line center, I think it'll be Nick Abruzzese.
Yeah, potentially.
Or Alex Steves, even. So I don't think you have to worry about the fourth line. I think that's going to be young. And I think you have Simmons and Clifford if you want to add a bit of age to it, bit of experience. Third line, I think you do need one third line for sure. Left winger. I'd imagine they're moving Kerfoot, which opens up that second line spot.
Yeah.
Defense, the only thing you'd really need is potentially like a first pair, right? Defenseman to play with Riley.
Maybe. I think like I don't mind a Riley Sandin pairing top. I don't mind it.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Sandin can't play on the right.
Yeah, well then maybe you trade Muzzin because right now I have Sandin playing on the right side. Or you can move Muzzin onto the right side, I guess. Do like a Sandin Muzzin pairing. But anyways, the 6 I'm okay with. Riley, Sandin, Muzzin, Brody, Giordano, Liljegren, whatever pairings you want. That's fine.
I think I need to add an addendum to this. I don't think Sandin can play the right in top pair minutes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Suicidal. Like it's going to do more damage than it would good.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say something else. I think
third pair. Sure.
Yeah. Perfect.
Try it.
I think for defense, the only need would just be depth. 7th pair, 8th pair, just have the same depth that you had at the end of this past season. And so I think signing guys to like leagueman deals or even like 2-way contracts, just good guys that can fill in if an injury happens. I think that's the only area you would need to improve on defensively. Because right now, like who is their 7th D-man? I guess it's Hall, but they might trade him.
Yeah. I don't know if Dahlstrom's under contract.
Dahlstrom.
Maybe him. But I'd imagine they'll do what they usually do and sign some depth defensemen. They always do it. So
yeah.
Like an Alex Biega kind of guy.
Yeah.
That sort of level of player as depth and allow your young guys like Mac Hollowell maybe to take on a bigger role. I think Teemu Kivihalme is going to be a free agent potentially, but could see them bringing him back. So I think defense is ironically for so many years, probably the least like the smallest issue they have to address. You'd like to add a
ironically, yeah.
Yeah. You can probably get away with what you have.
Yeah, I think so.
The big issue is goaltending. You need a starting goalie because there are holes in Shalgren's game.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
I find rookie goalies, they do unbelievably well in their first season. And then after that, they fall off because they have tape on them. They know how they play. Mm-hmm. And the thing I've noticed with Shalgren, his rebounds and his rebound control is terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah. Maybe they give like Joseph Wall a chance as well. They also just signed that Hobie Baker winner who could make the team out of camp.
Potentially. Those are all possibilities. Yeah. I presume they bring back Michael Hutchinson because they always bring back Michael Hutchinson. Mm-hmm. And he's basically a lock and he's good insurance there.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like, who cares? It's their goalie.
Or 4th or 5th goalie.
Yeah. Ideally, you have Shalgren as your AHL goalie and you bring in 2 new guys. In my
if your backup doesn't cost you like $2 million, then sure.
I'd be comfortable running an Eric Comrie, Peter Mrazek, going with that risk. I know it's not.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
not fun, but I'd be willing to run that risk. But if you can make a trade, if you could bring in a guy like what's his name, Darcy Kemper,
Yeah.
if you could figure out a deal for John Gibson,
Yeah, Gibson would be sick, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I think he'd be pretty decent. Jonathan Quick, if you can bring him in while offloading.
Well, Huso as well. Huso
Billy
is perfect.
is a bit of a risk, but yeah, he's sort of in the Shalgren camp though, in terms of a guy who's had success in his first year and I think could potentially fall off a bit in year two as teams start to.
Okay. Yeah. That's true. I wouldn't put him in the same category as Shalgren. They're different. Like
No, like,
Shalgren is
obviously they're different, but
yeah,
as a rookie goalie who could fall off a little bit,
for sure.
a guy like Samsonov, who's an RFA, would be very enticing to me if Washington
Ottinger.
go that way. I think Ottinger stays, but somebody like Holtby or maybe not.
Ben Bishop.
No, Ben Bishop's done. He's retired.
Yeah, I know.
He's their backup goalie or third goalie. They gave him a huge contract, which was terrible. They never should have given it to him. After
Holtby?
No, in 2020, after his playoff run. Oh God, this is gonna bother me.
Is it Kudobin?
That's it. Hudobin.
Yeah.
Hudobin. Maybe you call them about that, but I think right now you're in a position where that needs to be your number one goal is adding another goalie. You can figure out the forwards later.
Mm-hmm.
Just can. There's more of them.
Definitely.
And you can promote from within.
The forwards aren't really the problem.
No, maybe you convince Matthew Nyes in the fall.
Yeah.
Hey, come play with us. We got an opening on our third line left wing.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Your spot if you want it.
Maybe their first round draft pick at 27th overall this year.
Maybe higher, depending on if the Rangers, Blues, or Edmonton go on to the conference final.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe there's a player there that makes it out of camp, I don't know.
Highly unlikely, but
yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe Shane Wright just drops to us. Maybe the Leafs make a trade and get Shane Wright from Montreal, and there's 3 years of league min salary right there for you.
Montreal are picking first overall because the draft is in Montreal. They are not moving.
They're not trading to Toronto.
No. Maybe you bring a guy over from the KHL.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a real route you could go with the uncertainty in Europe right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. It's going to be, I think, a very busy offseason for the Leafs. I think there could be a lot of turnover on the team in terms of Kerfoot, Hall, maybe Muzzin. But we'll have to wait and see.
It's already getting started. Like Giordano already signed, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we've spent over an hour discussing the offseason, which is probably going to be out of date by the end of the week as they bring back somebody. But yeah, if you like this sort of content, let us know because we'd love to do more of it. I love doing this stuff. This is fun. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media at The Big League Show.
Yeah, it's all in the description. Our Instagrams, Twitters, and the podcast Instagram as well. Subscribe to the channel, like Connor said, like the video. And if you have any video ideas, feel free to drop them in the comments down below.
Yeah. Tweet at us. Who knows? Hit the bell too, so you get notified when we upload because our upload schedule is incredibly erratic. We'll be back with a video in the future. Who knows? Hopefully we'll do another podcast interview again soon. We'd like to do that again, but who knows? It's a crazy time of year for everybody, but enjoy the playoffs and we'll be back in the future. Peace.